Well, hello. Oh, sorry. Are you? My bad. Go ahead.
Jeez, I had so much momentum in my mind. Well, forget it.
Welcome to
Just keep going, Zach.
Beyond Sunday. I'm not the host today, but I'm a guest that willingly is hijacking this show. Today, I've got two guests on with me. Go ahead and share your names.
What else is new? Here's Zach just trying to take over. Well, I was asked to host this. My name is Peter Bay, and Dina is actually trying out for a reality TV show.
Oh, nice.
And that's not true, but if it was, what reality TV show would Dina most be trying out for? Oh. No more hijacking.
So this is Tyler from the Fremont campus.
Hi, Tyler.
Hello, everyone. I feel like she would do. Would you count like the Extreme Makeover Home Edition as a reality show?
Absolutely.
I feel like she would kill it at that.
Yes, like
as the one going into the house to remake it.
Not the person with the real trashy house.
My guess is that she does not have a trash yet. My guess is that she'd be really good at making houses nice.
That's a great pull, actually.
You're still so mad at me for hijacking that first moment, I can tell. I was really happy about my performance there. I think Dina, she's a huge fan of Survivor, but in a similar way, I think she would be on the summer reality show Big Brother.
That's another great pull, but why?
Why? Because I feel like she is super personable, social. I think she would have fun with the games. I think she would get along with the people in the house. And yeah, I think she'd do pretty well at it.
Yeah, well, those are great options.
As the host of today's podcast, what do you think, Peter?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked and you acknowledged my hostmanship. And believe it or not, I thought about the question, but I didn't think about the answer. And so I'm going to go with one of the OGs. I've never actually heard her sing. And I don't know if she has some crazy talent, but it's been around, not quite as old as American Idol, but America's Got Talent.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mean, she's got such a electric personality that she would be able to do something and get the crowd on her side.
Absolutely.
And it wouldn't be unanimous. Like, I don't think she'd be golden buzzer because like the skill wouldn't like be so incredible that
because we would know about it if it's golden ticket talent.
Right. But she'd be so lovable,
that
the judges would have a tough time saying no.
And it might be her talent. It might be like knowing what national holidays are more than anybody else.
Just name a date and she could tell you what the national holiday is.
There was a podcast one time, for you faithful listener, you'll remember this, where Dina said one of her special talents is being able to know the number of people that need to be fed in a group and know exactly what food to order and how much.
Wow.
That would really go well on America's Got Talent.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Did you know that today is National Fajita Day?
Oh, there you go.
Wow.
Dina, how many fajitas need to be ordered for a group of 60?
It's also National Couples Day, National Ice Cream Pie Day, Bad Poetry Day, National Mail Order Catalog Day, Pinot Noir Day, and Never Give Up Day.
Yeah, so
according to Google.
Let's go with the first one you mentioned. Are you fajita dudes?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the sizzle? Come on.
Yeah, and the production value of that food product is wonderful.
Presentation is high level.
Yes, it is.
With the tortillas in the aluminum foil that stay hot. Come on.
In the aluminum foil or the little like round case, like the dumpling case.
Oh, the little kids either one. Either one.
All right. Do you go steak, chicken, or shrimp?
Or combo.
I like that.
Yeah, I usually combo it.
Ty?
I'm a fan of all Mexican food in any shape, combination. Spices are delicious. Sauce, cheese, meat, delicious.
That's wonderful.
Tortilla.
Yeah, I'm going to go on the record to say that I am anti-fajita.
Yeah, I knew you would be.
And simply because it's so expensive and it takes up so much room on the table. I think whenever people order, I'm like, oh, here they go. Like, that's why you're a fajita guy, Zach. You hijack the podcast. You hijack the table space.
That's mean, number one. Number two, my larger point is that I actually think fajitas are generally a pretty good deal comparative to the rest of the stuff on there. It's like maybe $3 to $4 more than a regular entree, but the amount of food, you can usually make it into two meals. Sometimes they have a fajitas for two, which is an even better value.
I was just going to ask you.
Anyway,
Because if you can share with someone at your table, then the overall table space makes a little bit more sense.
And that's why Peter wouldn't know about it. He doesn't like to share.
Oh my gosh,
That's
guys.
a good point.
I didn't realize this was
Actually, what I like to do is not. I like to
brotherly
not
fight.
order because I grew up with such little money that I love to not order and then just finish whatever is. But then the last time we went out for like a family meal, Carissa and I had a heart-to-heart about that because she's like, I don't like it when you do that because I feel like I need to share food with you.
and I don't want to share.
Yeah, and she was like, no, I want to eat what I ordered because I ordered it on purpose. And I was like, oh, no, this is tough because I still don't want to spend that much money. And I would rather order nothing and save money.
Props to her for bringing that up, though.
Yeah, it was great for me to know. So, yeah, I still held with the game plan, but she did not share. She's like, I told you I wasn't going to share. I was like, I know. The kids never eat all their food.
Right.
Yeah. And as a dad, you are like a vacuum cleaner for your kids' extra food at restaurants.
That was me with the kids' snow cones last night at back to school night. It's like they wanted snow cones, but of course the smallest size was way too big for any of them.
Yes.
So I finished 3 snow cones.
Did you get any of it on your shirt?
No, a ton on my tongue and lips, but none on my shirt.
Golly, that sounds like a Song of
I
Solomon.
was wondering why your lips were blue when you came into church today.
Well, anyway, that's not a perfect tie to this message series that we're on, but we have been in Game On, and we've been using different games. We've used Pokemon, Stardew Valley, and then this week we use one of the most divisive board games of all time. Pastor Greg even said that there was someone was shot from a disagreement in this board game, and that is Monopoly. Originally, monopolist is what I learned, and then some guy stole the idea and took all the money and gave none of the credit, which is the Monopoly way of doing things.
Really, it is.
In the spirit of Monopoly, he did a great job. And so Monopoly, one, the first part is, do you guys play Monopoly? Does it cause fights? And then 2, I would love to hear like how Monopoly connected well to this message specifically, like what stood out to you?
Yeah, so I grew up playing Monopoly, specifically with my brother during the summer. He's 4 years older and 4 years smarter, so I rarely won a game. And those games took forever. Zach, you were at the Fremont campus on Sunday, and so you told them that you and your boys have kind of grown to be like very efficient in your playing Monopoly. Yeah, we were not at that point as kids growing up. So we're talking like 3, 4, 5-hour games. And you do it like once every 2 months, and then you realize why you don't do it. Have you guys heard of Monopoly Deal, the card game?
Yes.
Love it.
That's a great way to capture the spirit of Monopoly quickly. And even our kids, Isla's 11, Theo's 8, like they know exactly how to play. They know the strategy. And it's a little less domineering of a game than pure Monopoly.
Right.
Yeah. Yes, we do play Monopoly. And I would say when it's just me and the 2 boys, like we don't fight much because we have a very similar value estimation of what everything on the board is worth. At one point, Nathan looked up the statistical probabilities and the best properties to have and created the basically trades that are fair. And we kind of all work with that. So I would say the 3 of us got to play pretty efficiently, knew what was best. And then when we had guests come in, that's where there'd be fighting because they wouldn't have any idea of the system we'd created. And outside of categories, it's probably the most fightful type of a game that there is.
So amongst your family, you're good. It's when you have guests in your home that you fight them.
Correct.
Wow. Monopoly.
Or not even. Allison is one of those people that plays by different rules too. And that's the frustrating piece is one day she decided to start trading things and give really good deals, which is ridiculous. And then the other family rule, we have a couple of them, and I'm always fascinated by people's family rules, but when you collect go or hit go, instead of collecting 200, you get 300. That's a Zender rule. And then also free parking, we would throw an extra 500 in free parking every time. And in this particular game, when it was already kind of getting out of whack and feeling like unfair because of her deals, which she was making, which were really good for all of us, but really upsets the game system, she won free parking and then decided to be generous and give the money away. And that essentially was the end of the game. This is stupid when somebody has a generous act in Monopoly. It ruined the game.
That is so wild. So, gentlemen, how did Monopoly connect to the Esther narrative? What stood out to you, broad level?
Pastor Gray made the connection pretty clearly. We spent a lot of time this week on the character of Haman, who's been introduced a little bit the last couple of weeks, but in the same way that the goal of Monopoly is to get it all, and that you could have 18 of the properties on the board, but if you don't have those final two, I don't know if 20 is total, but you know what I'm saying? The only way that you end the game is if you get everything. And that's exactly where Haman was. And so as I was writing the Connect group guide earlier this week on Sunday night, it was I was thinking about that with where we are in terms of contentment, and how often is it the way of the world to I need it all and I will only be content if I have it all. And then, ironically, it was Haman's downfall. He already had nearly everything, but it was his downfall because he insisted on getting absolutely more, which was Mordecai's down. He wanted Mordecai dead, and then it was that actually caused him to die.
Yeah, similar. It's amazing when you look at how much Haman has. I mean, outside of the king, he was the highest up. He had everything, and really had a lot of the people in the support too, except for one guy, Mordecai. So you can have almost everything and still be discontent. And that is the game of Monopoly. You can have boardwalk and Park Place and hotels on everything, but if you don't have that one brown Baltic Avenue property that you can get for $60, like, you're not content. It's like, how do I get that? I got to get that. And so anyway, I thought that was a pretty good tie-in of just like, and then the personal side of that as well. Obviously, it's a board game. It's a real story that happens centuries before Jesus, but how much God gives to all of us, and yet we can still be discontent and look at the one thing that I don't have, as opposed to focusing on the 99 things God has given me.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to give you your assignment, and then I'm going to give you time to answer these questions.
Wow.
And so, Zach, for the people listening who don't know the narrative of Esther, especially in regards to Haman, I would love for you're going to give us, we're going to go with a 1-minute summary of like flying through the first part and then really grabbing onto Haman. And
like the whole book of Esther, but specific focus on Haman?
Yes. Yeah, because this message got into Haman more than any of the others will.
Yeah.
So you're going to have 1 minute to do that. And then, Tyler, you're going to have 1 minute to make the connection of how the ego and pride that Haman had, how he's not alone, how we bear that, and how it gets in the way of us and God. Okay? So Zach,
Assignment received.
I got my clock already up.
He's got his clock
as the host. I brought it up already.
This is so exciting. This is a Beyond Sunday first. So on your mark, get set, go.
The king is named Xerxes, and his wife Vashti. Oh, I should hit start. His wife Vashti won't show up and impress a lot of the nobles, so he invites a bunch of women to like a bachelor type of situation, and Esther finds favor and becomes the queen. And she's a queen, she's a Jew, but there's another guy named Haman who's a high official in Xerxes' ranks. He's got nearly everything, except one guy named Mordecai won't bow down to him, won't like him, and so Haman gets all angry and fussy and starts talking to his friends, and his friends tell him, you should set up a pole and you should impale Mordecai on this pole. And so he does that. He was really happy about his pole that he set up. Little did he know that Mordecai and Esther were working on a plot with God behind them to get Xerxes on their side. That as Xerxes started to uncover this, he realized that that Haman had actually kind of screwed him over a little bit. And so in a plot twist that's crazy, Haman actually was ordered to be impaled on the pole that he set up by King Xerxes, and that's a pretty awesome thing.
There you go. 1 minute. 1 minute. Is there any revisions that you want to add now that your minute's done?
Tons. I would want to add a lot of detail. I stumbled on my words once or twice, but the gist of it is there. And Haman, I gave this joke. I think it's pretty funny. I think our Beyond Sunday listeners will find this very humorous because it's a very niche group we're talking to here.
Now's the time.
As we're talking about games, you could argue that Haman became the first hangman.
Hangman.
Anyway.
Very good. And that's where it comes from. Hangman.
It is, yeah. It comes from this.
Breaking news on the Beyond Sunday podcast.
And so now, Ty.
I didn't mean to monopolize the time.
Well done.
Reset your timer there.
Yep. So you're going to reset it. We've got 1
See what I
minute.
did there? Monopolize.
1 minute for
Just
Tyler, Pride and Ego.
The listeners.
And go.
Yeah. So with Haman, there was this sense of like, even like what he had was not enough. He was very prone to comparison. And even if Mordecai did not give him the praise and honor that he felt he deserved, if he did not have all of it, he felt like he had none of it. And so what do we fall into? I think one is we can very much fall into comparison. And so if someone else has more or different than us, we feel like we don't have anything at all. Haman is also very offendable. And it really is just because he just kind of resents Mordecai. And so how often are we, maybe we overreact to things that we shouldn't overreact to, and we don't handle things with grace we should. And then finally, pride is always going to focus on ourselves. And Jesus is one is always pointing us outside of ourselves to God and to neighbor. And one more second, and I'm done.
Nice.
Well done. That was excellent. Can you guys think of times in your life where pride and ego got in the way of your relationship with God or others?
And I can't think of any for me.
That's
No.
awesome, Zach. As his brother,
Maybe in that.
I agree. I haven't
maybe
seen
in
it.
that answer. Potentially. Oh gosh, pride and ego. Yeah, I mean, can I think of times in my life where that has? What was the question? Been a part of my life?
Yeah, and how it's gotten in the way between you and God, or you and the people He's put around you.
Yeah, I think sometimes when I feel like I'm, I don't know, kind of being treated unfairly or just kind of, treated unfairly. I'll go with that. I can kind of really quickly, if someone I feel like is treating me that way, just kind of like in my own head, like be thinking of all the reasons why they're wrong and why I'm right and defend myself. And I realize I can kind of play the victim card sometimes a lot. And so that's one where I'm trying to check my pride and recognize and realize that there are parts of my life, and even as a disciple that tries to grow, there are still things I need to clean up. There are still decisions that I make that are wrong. There's still sin in my life that's prevalent. And rather than kind of like hearing someone that I feel like is being unfair to me, I should receive what they're saying and not go to jump to defend myself or make myself out a victim, but rather recognize like, I am still a broken, sinful person. And I'm not, because I'm a pastor or because I've done X, Y, or Z, I am not immune to having my own faults and difficulties, and trying to really press into that so that I can become a healthier person.
I think where I feel this most is when it comes to like people pleasing and the need for approval or the desire for approval. Tim Keller wrote a book a while back. He's with the Lord now. He called The Freedom of Self-Forgetfulness. And kind of this idea of when we are fully embracing our identity in Christ, we're actually freed from the need to feel that sense of validation from others, or and that's ultimately where pride will blind us. And pride is, I think if you were to look like the 7 deadly sins, it's going to be the first one. And some people just associate pride and sin as one and the same because it's pulling you away from God. And what does James and Peter say? God opposes the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. And I was looking at myself, I'm like, yep, in any given day, I can be accounted the proud, in which case God is opposed to where I'm at. And then when I choose the way of humility, I'm in the best position to receive God's grace. And so it always comes back to knowing who I am in Jesus. And then out of that, actually getting myself out of the way, just thinking about myself less, forgetting about myself, because God has fully cared for me in Jesus. And now I can be fully free to love and serve my neighbor.
I remember when we first launched Northwest, the first couple months, it's like my whole attitude rose and fell on the attendance of the previous Sunday.
Yeah.
And early on with a church plant, that's the question you get the most. It's not like any new people. Who have you met? It's like how was attendance on Sunday? And I was just so some Sundays it'd be like, we are awesome, and then the next one it'd be low, and I'd be like, oh. And people would say, well, what do you think's going on? Do you think like it's not going well? And I was like, I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm a failure. And so I met with a guy who's been a mentor for me and explained what was going on in my mind. And he kind of laughed at me and he said, do you think the success of this site's really going to depend on you? And that was a really good reframing. And then he gave me a new target. He said, let's come up with a new number. What do we want to target? And so what we landed on at that lunch was the number 1. 1 new person each week. And let's celebrate that. And who's that new person? And who can you invite? And everyone can be involved with 1 new person. But that was really important for me because it helped release the pridefulness of a great Sunday's on me and a lower attended Sunday is a bad Sunday. And instead, it put the focus back on God and his people and introducing 1 more person to God. And so that really stood out to me. Now, Esther and Mordecai, they were in a pretty tough spot. And there's this old line, Zach, that your dad years and years ago in a message, and we even had like a T-shirt. Your setback is your setup for your comeback. And how, as
Originally spoken by Uma
Ukpai. Your setup is your
Nope,
your
you missed
setback is your setup for your comeback.
yes,
That's
well
how Dad
done.
likes to say it
Well, on the second try.
on the second
Yeah.
try.
Well, that's right. And so, like Esther and Mordecai, they had setback after setback, and it looked pretty scary. But yet they proceeded and saw God at work. How do you see this in your life and in the life of a church leader?
Yeah, what I think about is our field of view and our perspective is so limited. And then, of course, God's perspective and field of view is limitless. And I think there's an anxious part of each of us that really wants to see the full picture. And at least on this side of eternity, we likely will not. We were not seeing it now. We likely never will. And so this is just where understanding he is the creator and we are his creatures, and just like, God, you are the potter, we're the clay. And that basic part of submission of like, I'm going to trust you as our heavenly Father. And we see that with Esther and Mordecai. Like, Mordecai did not, and Greg drew this out on Sunday, he did not like force the situation for King Xerxes to become aware of how he had prevented the assassination earlier in the book, right? He could have done all these things to take matters in his own hands. Instead, he chose quiet faithfulness. It's like, God is my defender. And it's just through these like strange events, Xerxes is like, I can't sleep. Come read me the book. And he's like, wait a second. Did Mordecai ever get honored for the good thing that he did? And it's not this promise that absolutely everything is going to work out perfectly and we're never going to have trials. No, on this side of new creation, Jesus said, in this world, you will have trouble, you will have trials. But through it all, at the end of the time, we are going to see the handiwork of God's weaving of grace throughout the tapestry of time that we're going to look back and say, wow, God, look at everything that you've done. And then any taste and glimpse we get of that on this side, great. But it all just comes back to trust. Like, God, you got this.
Yeah, well said. And I think that's just life. I think we all want everything, all of the parts of our lives kind of up and to the right, but life is a series of incremental progress. You might have 2 steps forward and 1 step backward. And I think that God uses that. And if it was all just up and to the right, I actually think people would cry out far less to God. I think it is in the setbacks that we relate to him. So I remember several times in my life. One that I'm thinking of now is at seminary. I just feeling like I preached a really good, I was on vicarage, so it was probably like the 5th or 6th sermon I ever gave. Felt like the best sermon I ever preached up to that point, which again, it's not that impressive, and I just remember a seminary professor was there and called me into his office, I don't know, a couple days later, and I thought he was going to be like, oh, it was so good, Zach, so good. And instead it was like, hey, that was pretty terrible. And he pointed out a few things to me, and especially like he didn't like the way I handled the law and gospel. And anyway, it felt like he made it his, agenda to make sure that I didn't graduate, and had some professors stand up for me. And so that felt like a setback, and ended up having to take another class and slow down a little bit before I got out. But I think it made me a stronger preacher. As I looked back at it, he taught me a couple of things even through that, and we were able to reconcile. I'd moved on from it a long, long time ago, but we actually were able to reconcile and talk about it just a couple of months ago, which is pretty cool. So,
yeah, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, and sometimes it's things that happen to us, and sometimes it's things that we cause. I think about one of them for us is when we had our house fire in 2017, and house fires are so wild, and it took most of our house. And we woke up the next morning. I didn't have any clothes. I went and grabbed a pair of swim trunks from my father-in-law and his Scott Frost warning T-shirt, and I went to Walmart to start over. And that was such a surreal place to be. But then what happened over the next weeks and months was person after person calling, asking what we needed, or just giving things. And I've never had, and may never have again, a season of such personal generosity from God and his people that I did in that season. I would not recommend a house fire, but by the time it was all said and done, I was like, holy cow, how blessed am I? And so that's something that happened to me. But there's also been things that I have just messed up that have really taught me, like what you said. For me in college, I played trombone and I sang. And
at the same time?
And it was pretty incredible.
Wow, this sounds like America's Got Talent right after Dina.
Well, I was supposed to be playing trombone for this alumni concert. And we had rehearsal early in the morning on a Saturday. And in college, early is like 8 a.m. And I slept in, and I missed my alarm, and I wasn't there for the rehearsal. And I did not get another trombone feature in a choral song until my 5th year. And I would go to these auditions, and I would like crush the audition, and the next guy would be like just struggling, and the director kept giving it to the other people. But it was a huge lesson for me of like my actions matter, and it was a setback, but I wasn't late again, and I did the work better. And so, Tyler, does something come to mind, a setback that set you up for a comeback?
I mean, I guess the place to start is I just feel richly, incredibly blessed, like where the parents the Lord gave me, the family growing up, educational opportunities, this church family. When this would have been January of last year, I was out, Ali and I, serving in church in Connecticut. Shout out to any friends listening to the Beyond Sunday podcast from Westport, Connecticut. And we knew that there were kind of some financial realities that were kind of the train was going to hit the station at some point. We weren't totally sure, and of course, trusting God. So it was a Monday, and got called into the pastor's office, and he shares, "Hey, I'm going to be taking a call this summer, and so things are going to change and that sort of thing." We're shocked about that. Then find out that same afternoon that our best friends were also going to be moving. And then the next day, find out that there were desires for me to step into a pastoral role there. And then the day after that, get a call from Pastor Greg. It says, "Hey, we've launched this Fremont campus, praying about it. Your name keeps coming up. Could we chat?" And I guess it's a different kind of a setback, but the sense of God throwing everything up in the air at once, not really knowing what was going to happen, and also knowing that the status quo was going to end. I think that was probably the thing that was most disorienting at that point, that like there wasn't an option to stay and keep going the way things were. It had to be a change. And then the way that things shook out, you guys might be surprised to hear we moved to Fremont.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So did you know that, Peter?
Welcome to the area.
Yeah. But God's been so incredibly gracious, and even just in his providence, even the church in Connecticut, amazing new pastor who received a call accepted the call, and he's been there he'll be a year this September, and the church is thriving. They're doing great. And so just seeing, okay, we would have never written the story this way. And of course we're still in the middle of the story, but for the pieces that we've seen, we can say, yep, God, your fingerprints are all over it.
And by the way, stories that don't have setbacks are lame. Every good story, every good movie has incredible setbacks and typically comebacks. And I think as Christians, we deal with people, and listeners are probably some of these people where there's always setbacks. You talk to people that can't have a child, and you talk to people that lost their job, and it's like, I don't understand, I don't know. And then all of a sudden a door opens, and it's a greater job they ever could imagine. And a child comes, or an adoption comes, and it's like the greatest thing they could ever imagine. And there's so many instances where when you can actually see the whole picture, you're like, wow, God, I saw you in that. Now there's sometimes where you don't get to see that, and that's frustrating, and that's hard. And that's where our faith has to come in even more of like, whatever I don't see, I do have to trust that the author and finisher of all of this has got a better story that I could ever think, ask, or imagine, even if I can't see it. And yet we have enough times that we can look back and say, man, I see that. And that's the story of Esther. Like, this is, in my mind, the most incredible flip of a setback into a comeback, where the guy that built the pole to kill Mordecai ends up getting impaled on it. Mm-hmm. And it even says it this way in chapter 9, verse, in the verse 1, that they were going to do this, by the way, and kill Mordecai on it and celebrate on that day, the 12th month, the month of Adar. And on this third day or whatever, 13th day of it, they were going to celebrate that. But that was actually the day that they celebrated. And it says that the tables were turned, and now the Jews got the tables are turned, the weapons are flipped. And like, that's the amazing piece about God in Esther, especially, is just when you look at it from overall, you're like, that's one of the greatest stories.
Yeah. Right.
Like, I mean, that's a move. We saw it together in Branson, didn't we? At the Sight and Sound. It's like, man, that's an incredible story. Like, that's cinematic right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's that great verse at the end of Genesis that Joseph speaks. What the enemy intended for evil, God worked for good, and kind of that active redemption that God works. And I thought Greg did a great job of drawing the New Testament connection that quite literally Jesus grew up in the shadow of the cross. Like that's what the Romans wanted. That the Roman crucifixion was meant to send a message. You cross us, here is what your penalty will be. And so if you're traveling from Samaria to Jerusalem, you are going to see crosses on the side. And it is what the enemy meant for evil, meant for destruction, was actually the enemy's destruction when Jesus assumed death. for our sake, for the world's sake, for sinners' sake. And so now, what is the symbol of the cross? It's not symbolizing violence and destruction. It's symbolizing deliverance. And that's what we associate it with because God's turned the tables.
So Haman lived this life of wanting it all. He tried to monopolize the situation. His family came on board. Tyler, you and I were talking about this earlier today, where it's like the family could have talked him out of it and said, hey, man, pride and ego, you've got a lot right now. Hold your horses. But they really, they added fuel to the fire,
right?
To say, no, you can't let any weakness exist. You got to get rid of this Mordecai. Not only him, get rid of his people. And so they took this take all approach. And the Bible says that not only Haman was put on those gallows, but his family as well.
10 sons impaled.
Whew. Oh my goodness. So yeah, just the brutal reality there. And so Esther and Mordecai, they're on the other side of it, and they get to experience God's blessing in an incredible way. So as people who have experienced on this side of Christ's death and resurrection, we've experienced God's blessing and the gift of eternal life. And so how does that impact you in moving from a take-all approach to blessing others with the gifts God has given you?
Yeah, for me, it just highlights that the ways of God are not the ways of the world. And so to have heightened discernment of, Lord, I want to more and more recognize what your ways are. And there continue to be, even to today, economic systems and political systems that are highly what's the word? Exploitative? Yeah, there we go. Thank you. That's seminary mentor Zach right there coming through with the pronunciation of exploitative. And like, what is the way of the kingdom is radical generosity, that what God has first given his all in the person of Jesus. What was the early church marked by? Irrational generosity. And then that's what moves the way of the kingdom forward. And that's what we're called to.
Ditto.
So gentlemen, as you look back on this message, any final takeaways?
Yeah, for me, I would say probably two things. One would be just ensuring that I stay grateful for what God has provided, and I stop focusing more on what I don't have and am grateful for what I do have. And in the same light, but in a little different, the second piece would be looking. I've had enough instances of my life where I've had setbacks that God has used in mighty ways. And so when I'm facing something, I think for me, the goal is I need to remember is such a huge piece of our faith. Remember, God is faithful. And though I may not see it today, and though I may never see it, I'm going to trust because God's done it enough in Scripture and in my life that he's going to use this in some way, shape, or form. And so I can keep moving forward and believing that God's going to do something great. Doesn't have to slow me down. Don't have to lose my faith or disassociate with Jesus or anything. I can trust because I can look back and remember how good God has been. So that's one of my takeaway.
Amen. Peter, I believe your question is there anything else I'm taking beyond Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Shout out to the title. For me, it's just simple of trusting God is always worth it. And the pride will tell me I can control the situation, or I can control what I should know or should be seeing. It's like, nope, God's got this. I belong to him. I can trust him.
Excellent.
What about you?
What am I taking beyond Sunday?
Yes.
Yeah. I think God has given me a wealth of riches, and the least of which is materialistic things, and how to keep eyes up to notice the people around me. And when injustice comes, it won't last forever, and God has the final word.
That's good.
I don't have to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be the savior. He sent one. Jesus did it. So with all these things, we can take them beyond Sunday, and we ought to, because they shape our identity. Tyler, Zach, good having you
Great
Everybody
having you
else,
on today, Peter.
All you listeners,
Hey,
out
listeners, thanks so
there,
much
Zach,
for.
let's try saying it together. Ready? You go, and I'll follow you.
Thanks for listening to Beyond. Come on, Tyler. Sunday.
Let's
you
keep
next time.
living our faith beyond Sunday.
Let's keep living our faith.
that what it is?
Beyond Sunday.
Dina, good luck on a complete home makeover. Bye.